Hey guys, what's up? So just got done putting the new can on the sled here from Jaws Performance. Thanks Jason for getting that out to me, and thanks for making an awesome product. When I did my Skidoo turbo, there was some videos online for how to get the can switched out, because it is a little different. With the factory turbos, there's some more stuff you got to do to get in and access things. So I looked up to see if there was any information online for the Polaris Boost, but I couldn't really find much. So I figured I suffered through it, figured it out, so let's shoot a quick video and give some guidance to anybody else who might need some help finding it. So let me get the camera switched around here. Here's what she looks like on the sled there. So there's a few things to know here on these, and I will kind of show you maybe over here on the stock can. Be a little easier to see. So this is actually the back of the stock can here. So there's a mounting point here towards the top of the can on the back there. That has like a little rubber grommet deal where it hangs the can, and then you got a spring clip there, and then down at the bottom too, it's important to remember there is a little rubber piece that goes in here that needs to get taken off of the stock can and put onto the sled for the aftermarket can. So, and another big piece too that I've been hearing about is there's a piece here that goes onto the wastegate, and that piece you do need to take off of the stock can and get on to your aftermarket can, or else you won't have anything to fasten your wastegate down to. So to begin with, obviously there's going to be a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but these are some of the tools I used. Pulling springs on exhaust pipes and mufflers and stuff like that can be kind of a pain in the butt. So I typically try to use a pair of vice grips. I haven't sprung for a spring puller yet. I probably should, but I haven't. So vice grips will do. Sometimes the needle nose vice grips are nice. Flathead screwdriver, rubber mallet helped me get the wastegate reset down onto the pipe, wire cutters, a couple screwdrivers. So I'm not sure. I think that the exhaust temp sensor is a 17 millimeter, and I of course don't have that, so the one size fits all made that happen. And then I had to use some channel locks to get the V-clamp snug back down on the wastegate, and then the V-clamps are a 10 millimeter socket on a gun is the easiest way to do it if you got it. So I'm going to assume that everybody's probably taken their hood off, but in case they haven't, side panels are super self-explanatory. 3 clips that come off both sides. You have a half turn here and a half turn here on the other side, same spot. Those spin out. Up front here, hopefully you can see it in the camera, where your side panels hook in, you got to get the hood pulled up over those, and then just pull the hood straight up like this, and it'll come off. And then don't forget to unplug your wire underneath here, just a single pin, single plug in there, and then the hood comes off, pulls away. Okay, so once the hood is off, that takes us to the next step. So I'm going to grab my flashlight here, make it a little easier for everybody to see. Inside the sled here, let's see if I can get this flashlight set up one way or another here. Inside the sled here, you'll see the light is on that spring right there, this guy right here. So that is the one that's on the back of the can, the stock can. It is a little bit difficult to get to with the stock can. Obviously with this one there's tons of room, but it is a little bit of a trick to get to. So make sure you get that one off. The temp sensor here goes in on the side on the Jaws can. It actually goes in the back though on the stock can, so you kind of got to get your hand in there and get it broke loose and get it off. Depending on what can you use, you may have to, let's see if I can get a shot of it or not. Back in here, well, my camera's not wanting to play nice, but so back in here is where this gray wire there is your wire for the temp sensor. And that is super short from the factory. They've got it all wire tied up and whatnot. You might have to cut the wire tie, which is what I had to do, and kind of reroute. Just make sure you watch your pull cord for your starter to make sure it doesn't catch that wire. So then let's see here. So then the next spot is going to be right there, that guy. I apologize for the focus not cooperating. So you can kind of just barely see him. But that is the post where the new can and the stock can seat over. So that's where that is. And then obviously you have your two V-clamps. Here's one. Here's the other that you're going to have to undo. They're both 10 mil sockets or wrenches, whatever you prefer. So the way I did this is I basically just started disassembling everything. I got the temp sensor off, got this lower spring down here off, got the V-clamps loosened. The one on the turbo will come off because it folds in half. This one on the wastegate won't really come off. The way I did it is I loosened it up and then just pried it open and sat it up here on top of the pipe here to get it out of the way. And then you won't be able to see it here, but what this is clamping to is that piece I talked to before that you have to take off of the stock can and put onto your new can, or else this V-clamp will have absolutely nothing to secure to. So then what I did is I came up and I took off these two springs here that hold the wastegate pipe onto the main pipe. Once that's all loose, it doesn't really just come right off like you would think. You definitely have to do some wiggling and adjusting to make it happen. Like I was saying, pull the wastegate off. It is kind of a booger, but you'll get it off eventually. And then you have 4 springs in here that hold the exhaust pipe onto the turbo. Those are going to have to come off. It's the easiest way to do it that I found when I was doing this. They come off. These front ones are really easy to get off with your vice grips. The back ones, I do a string trick, so you can use shoelaces, string line string, pretty much anything that's small and strong. And you put that string through the spring itself, and then you can use the string to pry it off when you can't reach with your vice grips or your spring pull or whatever. So that's what I use for the back. It's easiest. It gives you a little more room. If you turn the bars all the way to the left, it moves the steering stuff up in the front there out of your way. Let's see. So you get that off, and then I also, and I don't know for sure that you'd need to do this, but it was quick and easy for me to do. If you loosen this one clamp here on the intake, and then there is 2, and I'll show those here in just a minute, but there's 2 just plastic body clips, and this whole unit will pull off of here and get out of your way, and it makes it a little easier so you have room to move this turbo around. So looking at the intake, this pin here and one right here are the 2 little plastic body clips. Just use a flathead screwdriver. They come right out, and then you can lay this out of your way. There is a shot of the front 2 springs on the exhaust pipe, same exact spot on the back side to get those other ones off of there. When you're going back together and as you're going apart, one really important thing to look for is to make sure that by some chance you don't have your wastegate actuating cable come out of the wastegate itself, because if that happens, then you don't build boost, and you're gonna have all kinds of problems going with that. So make sure that that does not get knocked out, make sure that it stays in, and make sure that the butterfly on the wastegate is in the correct position when you have the wastegate pipe off. Once you have all that stuff off, then you're kind of ready to start trying to get it out of there. So I went ahead and lifted up the turbo, because once you have all this stuff unhooked, basically the only thing holding the turbo is just the charge tube. It's a silicone charge tube, so you can just kind of bend this up out of the way on that charge tube. That'll create your space, and then you can go ahead and lift the stock can up out of there. Kind of finishing thoughts here. As you put this all back in, the new one all back in and back together, I used the V-clamp on the turbo to kind of hold everything in place. But as I got everything put back together, I did end up re-loosening this and leaving the wastegate pipe loose, and waiting to secure those down until everything is set and in place, and that way you have the best chance at getting a really good seal on those V-clamps when you tighten it up. So put all your springs back on, make sure everything's hooked back up, make sure you don't forget to put anything back together, tighten down your exhaust sensor, and verify that you're not going to get your pull starter, your pull rope into your wire for your temp sensor, and other than that, just make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to, and then you're ready to go, ready to fire it up and see what she sounds like. Well, sweet. The whole process probably take you maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to do it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy, especially with a little bit of guidance, so you know what you're looking for. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody, and if you end up with any questions or thoughts, obviously feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I'll get back to you on it. If there's any other videos that would be helpful to somebody that they haven't been able to find on these new sleds, drop it down in the comments, let me know, and I can see what I can do to help out and make a video for that. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
It's deep.